Here,
I'm sitting here.
Just type in Mr. Balloon Hands. It comes up.
It's not often that I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I actually don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, Kylie and I were crushed because she'd never seen it. I showed it to her I think it was probably, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
And,
so. Because I said it and I kept going, Mr. Balloon
somebody
Hands.
Put a. It's a video? Or
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Drinking out of cups.
Drinking out of cups, that's it.
So there's a guy put a... So let me preface this real quick. Hold on. So this guy...
I opened my Busch Light Lime.
We got it. No, I already opened mine.
Oh, I got one.
So he put he created this... So this guy left a message to his buddy or whatever, and he was high on mushrooms. And this, this was years ago, 10 years old.
Yeah, this is old.
And he left this message, and it's just yes.
Oh, here it is, right here.
What does this guy think he's an Indian?
Pull up over here.
Was he a goddamn asshole? What the fuck is he doing? Not ever. No way. Now he's Johnny Hammersticks. Hammering away like he's friggin' Tommy Noble. What the hell's he doing? Thinks he's got it going, bossing over. No way. No way. What is this garbage?
Garbage.
What is this? Oh, I'm king of the trees. I'm the tree meister. I count on them.
Count on them.
Well, sometimes I pride. I like the steelist.
Steelist.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. This guy's some sort of Indian in the teepee. Ooh, this guy thinks he's Captain Knots. Thinks he's Captain Tying Knots. When everyone needs some knots tied, they go to him. Bullshit. Bullshit. This woman's such a bitch. Thinks she's Miss Sand. Drinking out of cups. Being a bitch. I bet her fist. I bet her fedelisk. Barned. Patted little kid in the background fucking going crazy. Who's this guy? Mr. Balloons. Mr. Balloon Hands.
Balloon Hands.
No way. No way. Get real. Like those things. Mr. Walkway. Mr. Walk Down Me. I'm the walkway. Lead me to the building. Fuck you. 5643. Yeah, right. You're some stupid bitch. Who paid for that floor? Not me. No way. Never paid for no floor ever again. Not once, not never. Nope. Never. Whose chair is that? Who bought that goddamn chair? That's not my chair. Not my chair, not my problem. That's what I say. No way.
No
Stupid
way.
Dresses. Stupid flowers. Lighthouses rule. You don't like the lighthouse? You suck. What is this, Seahorse Captain? What is this, Seahorse Seashell Party? Who didn't invite me? Why didn't I get invited? Seahorse Seahell? What is this? Get real. I'm in love with seahorses. I'm in love with them. They're so beautiful and cute. I'm in love with the seahorses. They're fucking unreal. I love them. They're like all the clocks. I love them. I love seahorses, and I love looking at them, and I love seashells. I love seashell things. I love things with seashells and seahorses on them, like blankets and towels and little bags. I love them. Seahorses forever.
That is incredible.
How about that?
That guy he's in a good spot.
He was in a great spot.
He had some sort of visuals going on.
It's incredible.
So when this first came out, I don't know
how I've never seen it.
You've got to hear some of those lines before, because when it first came out, Jameson knew that entire thing from front to back, and he would just sit there and go fiddlisk, and he'd go through the whole thing. Like, he'd say one line and he'd go boom, and he'd go back and he'd repeat the whole thing over again.
Mr. Balloon Hands.
I don't recall. Maybe I blacked out for those years.
You're probably like, why are they saying that?
Yeah, why are they saying fiddlisk?
Fiddlisk.
Well, it's nothing. Let's be honest, nothing unusual to hear random Neefham beef hearts. And,
yeah,
That's
a good one though. It was funny. Without the context of that's a guy who left a message on his buddy's phone, and he was high on mushrooms, it'd be like, what is that? It's a lizard. Honestly.
Yeah.
But somebody animated it and put that lizard guy there with all the things he's talking about. It's like
seahorses. I love them.
Who's this?
I love them.
Mr. Balloon Hands.
Yeah. Put that chair there. It's not my chair.
Gosh,
no
that's
way.
good.
No way.
It's so good.
Whew.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's on one of those.
There you go.
Aaron Rodgers deep jungle trips. Or something.
Yeah, that's ayahuasca is where he was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, welcome to Wilder Minds. That's that was we were watching that before and we were talking about it, so we started with that.
We had to because it's not often that I'm in the dark and I'm sitting here like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Yeah, so funny though.
Bush Light Lime, what do you guys think?
Solid.
I like it.
Yep. It reminds me of being on a boat, being on the beach,
Summary,
burning my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Summary.
This is a summer cocktail, and I tell you what, I've had a couple of them and some of the hottest. It has been brutal, and man, this was. I took one the other day and just boom, zip, it just went straight down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so good, refreshing.
It's incredible.
It's time, 4th of July.
I saw a bold move real quick from Jared. He sent a text message.
Yep.
An apple and a lime.
Yeah.
He was putting it in one glass, and I haven't tried it yet. But he's like, "Don't knock it till you try it." So now I want to try it. The apple and the lime.
We should try it on
we should
air.
just do it.
Yeah,
Go get an apple in a cup.
Grab a bapple in a cup, please.
pretty please.
Yeah, we might as well give it a,
We'll
give it
test
a rip.
this. No, my first reaction was that's inbreeding.
Well,
That's not right.
he's from Ohio.
But he is
Sorry,
from
Ohio. But Ohio
he's from
State.
Coshocton, so
Yeah, Ohio State. That's what I meant.
Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah,
Listen, it's America. Do what you want to do.
yeah, yeah.
I
that's-
actually, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
such a good idea. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, I thought about it, but I was too far away from my barn, and I already had a lime in my hand. So I was like, yeah.
well, we'll give it a rip and see how it goes.
Yeah,
Maybe-
we'll try
Maybe
it.
he's onto something. you
Maybe.
know?
So we've got the Toby Keith cup.
Yeah, we'll get something. Just give us a second here.
I heard it. Yep,
Get something.
the Toby Keith cup.
Get something rolling.
There it is, the Grizzly
All right,
Toby.
there was a bug in one of these.
It's all right.
I swallowed it a while back. Got hungry.
All right, I'm
Had a
gonna
June
peel
bug.
this over.
We've had
Name that movie.
yeah,
Swallowed a June bug.
All right,
Dumb and Dumber,
so here we go. 1 part.
Bapple.
Oh God, it's all over
Oh,
me.
you're a mess. What did you do?
All right, 1 part apple.
Yeah, go ahead.
ahead.
Here, ready? And
1 part lime.
Yep.
sure.
All right.
That's about right. Never mind the foam that's in there.
A little mixer.
Oh, I don't have my knife. How do I not have my knife? I was going to mix it with my knife. I don't have my
Yeah. All right, let's give her a whirl.
I do not feel safe if none of us have a knife sitting here.
I don't
I
have
got
mine.
mine.
I don't have mine
Mine's gotta
either.
be in my
I
shorts.
just
Did I use it to
I just
open-
cut a mushroom.
Did mail
my
come?
yard off with it.
And
I
then
usually-
made a video. Mr. Balloon Hand.
Yeah,
Is it?
hour 42 of the podcast. Mr. Balloon Hands.
Who put that
Try
chair
it.
there? Who put that
Huh.
chair there? Do what
It's
do
almost-
what Gunner does. You got to give it the sniff test. I pick up a heavy apple in the sniff.
They almost cancel each other out. It's weird.
Really?
It tastes like Bush Light.
It's actually
actual Busch Light?
Tastes like Busch Light. I mean, there's a taste there, but they both kind of offset each other, and I can't get a taste to it. Isn't that weird?
I mean, I don't hate it.
No.
I don't hate it. Mix if you must. See?
I mean,
So the apple's not as strong,
right.
but yeah, the lime kind of, yeah.
Kind of diffuse each other.
I mean, look,
It's not bad.
it's not bad.
Lapple. Bush Light
A
Lapple.
lapple. We're starting a new thing: Bush Light, lime, and apple combo. I'm gonna set it over here and drink the shit out of it.
Crazy.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Well,
Very
so
nice.
far we've covered a man on mushrooms and Bush Light Apple and Bush Light Lime mixed together. Let's talk about public lands, shall we?
Yeah, let's just jump right into
Let's
it.
get right into it. That's what I had on the agenda today.
Well, speaking of public lands,
Until
I
we
mean,
sat down.
growing up, you throw beer on state land. That's what we used to call it in Michigan. That's what we
Yeah.
still call it, state land. That's where our parties happened.
Oh, yeah.
So we would bring the bush lights in the middle of state land, start a fire up at Grimm. And there's a ton of property in Estee, up in Gladwin County. That's where we used to party. And we'd bring the beer, we'd get wood, we'd make the fires, and the cops would show up
Yeah.
every time.
Every time.
And it's before cell phones, so it's not like, hey, I saw a cop, he's heading your way. It was just like, there's a flashlight over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, how are you? I'm like, oh,
Busted.
let's run.
Yeah.
And you'd run in the woods, and they'd never catch you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The girls would get caught more than the guys. But,
Yeah.
but it was like one. They catch like 1 or 2, giving them MIP, and they're
was
kind of
that.
like the token MIP, and
Everybody
you
else
stop for
ran.
the day.
My I took Katie on our first date. Like I met her, knew her, but we were like, I'm gonna take you on a date. I came and picked her up. It was a snowstorm. I had a 30 pack of Bush Light, and I took her to the woods on state land and built a fire. And then that was like, she's from Chicago. She was like, what is this redneck doing?
What were you planning on? Did you bring a blanket up?
I did not, but I needed one. And so I would sit down and I was like, I'm going to build this big ass fire for you. And she was like, what is happening? I'm like, normally if a guy says he's going to take you out to the middle of the woods on the first date, like nowadays, that's a sign. That's a red flag. Yeah. Like you're probably not going to do that. But no, our literal first date was on state land, built a fire and drank beer.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So
nothing's changed.
I swung her right there.
Yeah.
Building a fire for whatever reason. Have you guys seen the Progressive commercial where it's all the guys standing around and they have to build a fire? And it's like, we're going to keep you from becoming your parents.
Your parents,
I saw it the other day and I rewound it like 3 times and laughed because there's like 4 dudes all standing there. And there's the one guy who has to build the fire.
Yeah.
And he says something to the effect of like, now let's just let him do this, okay? And the guy leans forward and he starts to build it. And the one guy's like, it's not the right formation. The other guy, he started to, it's not going to be very hot. And then the one guy's like, I cannot stand to watch this. And it's like, I should have built a council fire. And it's funny because it's true.
Everyone's got their own way.
Yeah. It's truth, right? So when you said build a fire, that's all. It's a commercial.
No, that's a good
kicked
campaign.
Into it's so
great
good.
campaign.
So good.
Yeah.
But nowadays you don't just be like, hey, let's go to the middle of the woods and on our first date.
No, it's not. It's not. So, but that's what I did back then. Chicago girl had never even thought of that as an actual option. So, worked out.
Worked out. You swung her.
21 years later, still here. I'll take it.
We did get slightly derailed, but I don't know what else you guys had on the agenda, but I did want to dive into this whole for real public lands deal.
I know you've been hot on it. I've been touch and go. Been busy. I haven't read a whole lot on it.
It comes down to the big, beautiful bill. That's what it all comes down to. So,
I just know that there's this Mike Lee character.
Yep.
This senator.
Yep.
And the last thing that I saw was a video where they were getting ready to vote, and this is like wee hours of the night. It was introduced at like 11:30 p.m.
Slipped in.
The entire bill that they were looking at was like 54 pages. There was a 33-page bill introduced at like 11:30 at night that was like, here, this is on selling lands.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of thing. It's like, it's tried to sneak it under the radar, and obviously a lot of stuff got.
What was proposed was 3 million acres of federal land. That's not small.
It's not small.
That is not small. It's 3 million acres of federal land across federal land, BLM. There's different ownerships. A lot of federal land, but who owns it is a little bit different all the way across the board. And as of yesterday, in some ways, this is kind of how this whole thing's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Probably before you put the bill up for a vote, but I mean, there's an uproar. Everybody out there in the hunting community stepped up. Because out west, obviously, even through the Midwest, but especially out west, public lands are huge. For a lot of people, that's the only access that they have. And so hunters united on a front all the way across the country. And he came out yesterday, Mike Lee did, as of yesterday. I haven't seen the latest updates today, if there is any, but he came out yesterday and he addressed hunters like specifically and was like, listen, you spoke. I hear exactly what you're saying. It was wrong, I was wrong, and we're going to try to figure out a way to do this to where it's actually right, but we can accomplish both sides.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're saying they want to use it as a debt mechanism, basically to pay down some of the debt, like satisfy some of the debt. But 3 million acres. So yesterday his whole thing was, okay, so now we're going to exclude all federal lands. So if it's federally owned, not necessarily like BLM, we'll exclude all federal lands. BLM land outside of, I think, 5 miles from like a major metro, anything outside of 5 miles is not eligible to be sold. So it's like within 5 miles it could be sold. And then he's talking about this whole trying to create freedom zones, which is like, I haven't seen a ton of detail on it, but like in perpetuity kind of stuff. Kind of like the Mason Tract up on the South Branch. That guy owned 1,400 acres, I think, and left it all to be to be left in perpetuity. So that's the latest, is this guy actually stepped up to the plate. So the big question is, like, when it comes to, you know, public lands and public access, like, just how do you guys feel about that in general? Because on one hand, as Americans, owning land is like the American dream, being able to own land and do your own thing. But on the other hand, if you don't have land or you don't have the means to own land, then public land is obviously a huge resource for you.
Yeah.
So
I think well, first of all, if it's a debt mechanism, at $10,000 an acre, $3 million or 3 million acres is only $30 billion. And that's at $10,000 an acre. And $30 billion, you might think, well, that could pay down some debt. I mean, we make...
That's interest on in a day.
The time I could sit here and fart, and by the time the fart's over, we spent $30 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the
fart.
amount of money we spend as a country. That how much did we give to whoever, you know, the countries over the years that we've just given them? Billions of dollars that just is wasted. So, yeah, I mean, public lands, again, I think from Michigan, we don't have the amount of public land, I think, that you do out west. I mean, out west, you're hunting big animals, you're hunting elk, you know, you're hunting mule deer, a lot of that stuff. I mean, public land, you have to have that to kill an elk out there. Yeah. I mean, unless you go through an outfitter, but, you know, the public land, you can go out there and do it yourself. I mean, that's what we like to do, DIY stuff. So for me, I think there wasn't a lot of voice. I didn't hear a lot of voices in Michigan, not as many as you'd hear like out west. Because that is a part of their day. Yep. They go out west, they spend a lot of their time on public land. I mean, there is a lot of it out there. Yep. Here in Michigan, we have some great public access properties. DNR, I've killed turkeys on state land. I've shot a lot of ducks on state land. I've never shot a deer on state land, but a lot of people do, and a lot of people depend on it. And you'd hate to see that property, that opportunity for somebody who doesn't have the ability to hunt any private land taken away from them, to create a little revenue for a government that wastes millions and millions and billions of dollars, our money, all the time. So let's take more away from us. That just doesn't make sense to me.
That's what isn't there a better way? Yeah. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way to generate revenue to pay down debt.
I think as a revenue generator, I think that's a terrible excuse. I think it was, I don't know about that portion. I do know that I mean, for me, it's a preservation thing. I mean, when we have our federal lands, state lands, BLM, all the different types of lands that are open to the public, regardless, and we're not just talking about hunting rights. I mean, camping and fishing and exploring and hiking and the things that we can do. This is preservation of this. Otherwise, you know, it just ends up in contractors' hands, ends up being housing, and we just start crushing things. And that whole thing carries over to, you know, herd health of elk out west start to diminish because they don't have the place to go, you know, winter and all. Yeah. And so for me, it's not just about the hunting rights. I mean, it's kind of like, look, this is our land, right? It's part of America. It's a federal land, it's government, but we're all allowed to use it. And I think, you know, there's a lot more people that would use that than have their own land that they can hunt, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a true fact or a fact or not, but like, I feel like there's, like, for me, we don't own land in Montana. So I would be going to a public place to hunt it, but I do have land in Michigan. And so it's like, there are things that we can go back and forth on, but I just think it's integral for preservation and conservation, just to save this pristine nation. It pisses me off that they're like, well, let's just sell that off.
Yeah.
To what? I mean, for what?
Yeah, like, to what, for what?
Yeah, I mean, and for the end goal of saying, well, we ran the country shitty, and I just want to be able, like, I ran my state shitty, so I want to sell that so I can just make up for what I ran shitty. Yeah. That's the part that doesn't sit well with me, is like, hey, we have this beautiful thing over here we're going to use as a debt collector. We're just going to, you know, let's sell that off and pay for our mistakes.
It should be sacred.
Run better.
It should be sacred.
It should
for
be.
Us,
it should
to keep
be
that public. And
you know, now there are things like you said within 5 miles and infrastructure, but you know, you start to think, when does 5 miles become the next 5 miles? You know, it's like you do that, and then 5 miles later there's another one, and then 5 miles later there's another one, and it just they get around it somehow, some way, and they start to kind of think about that, and they're like, that's fine. You know, in 15 years that'll be within 5 miles of that city, and then we'll sell that off, and so. I get it, but I do think there are just places that should never be touched, and it's just it's a big issue, no doubt. I will say the hunters definitely rose up. Organizations, Hunter Nation did a huge job, right? Mark, what is his last name?
Yeah, actually Lee addressed Hunter Nation directly. Yeah. Wherever your adventure takes you, count on Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's to make it memorable. From the timberline to the campsites to the lake and the range, get your family outfitted with the right gear. With premium brands like Worldwide Sportsman, Ascend, Instinct, Redhead, and Natural Reflections, they've got the apparel and the gear to make it the best adventure ever. Stop by today for a one-of-a-kind shopping experience in-store or online at BassPro.com and Cabela's.com. See for yourself at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's stores. Your adventure starts here. All right, let's talk about beer for a second. You ever notice there's a big difference between Busch Light drinkers and other beer drinkers? I like to say we live on the wild side. You know, a guy with a Busch Light in his hand, he's a man of the people. He's out there in the wild every day. He's in the trenches smashing bushies with a smile on his face. You know why? Because he doesn't care. He's not looking for a soulmate. He just needs something to wash that damn jerky down. And he's got himself a 12-pack of Freedom in a can. And when that can gets cracked, it's like opening a door to a whole different world. It's just a vibe. And if you haven't felt it, you should. So go grab yourself a case of bushies, give them a rip, and take a walk on the wild side. You've got things that matter. Memories, heirlooms, documents, firearms. And we all know that life is unpredictable. At Winchester Safes, they make sure life's unpredictable moments don't take those things from you. They use state-of-the-art methods that refuse to sacrifice quality. They put everything they have into their products, offering proven protection and peace of mind. There's only one safe company worthy of the title, the American Legend, and that's Winchester Safes. Follow at Winchester Safes or learn more on winchestersafes.com.
Keith Mark. I'm sorry. Jesus. I totally jacked. I was thinking Mark McKinnon, but it's Keith Mark. Yeah. Keith Mark was the guy sitting with Lee.
Okay.
And he's the one, so I've been following him a little bit on this whole, obviously forgot his handle, but Keith Mark has been doing it, and he's been the voice in the room with this guy saying, hey, this is happening. I think that if we can have this much of an uproar when an issue comes, why can't we just stay, like, why can't the momentum continue as hunters? Like, I just want to see that. I don't want to see, okay, here we are, we're loud, and then we go silent again. Yeah. And then next thing you know, another bill comes out. Like, we have to stay at the top of this thing. And there is, luckily, organizations like him. He's in D.C. and he's fighting for hunters all over the world, which is amazing.
Well, at least when the time comes, we unite.
Yeah.
And that's,
that's true.
I think there's a quiet, loud voice, of a lot of hunters and outdoorsmen and people who love the outdoors. When you see them rise up like that, it makes you proud.
Well, it's almost like just leave me alone, but if you step on me, I'm going to say something.
Yep.
And that's what I feel like.
That's what happened.
This is done.
That's what happened.
As hunters, I think as a group in general, we're not loud.
Yep.
We do our thing, keep to ourselves.
You don't want to be.
Yeah, but man, you try to infringe and you try to step on us, and then shit's going to hit the fan.
No, I mean, as hunters, we fight more amongst ourselves than we do with anybody else.
So that's the thing that I find interesting. That's also another part of what I wanted to chat about with this is there's like a chasm or a divide between, man, I'm a public land guy, and man, I'm a private land hunter. And it's almost like, you guys remember the days of like fixed blade or expandable.
Oh, God, yeah.
Vertical bow or crossbow. It's like somebody's always got a fucking opinion on which one's better or which one you should do or which one you should use. And I feel the same with this whole public-private land thing. So, it's funny because guys just hang their hat on one or the other. And you can have arguments for both directions.
Yeah.
You find a let's just take Michigan, for example. You find a guy that swears by public land that if he had an opportunity to kill 160, 170-inch whitetail on a piece of private ground, he wouldn't do it.
Well, see,
ain't happening. That guy's doing it all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and I think that's the difference, Case. I think that's the difference. It's where you grow up and where you live.
Yeah.
Michigan, like I said earlier, it's not a state that you as an outdoorsman, you don't depend on public land.
Right.
You know, most likely you came from a family that farms, or you have a friend or
somebody,
a cousin
yeah.
that farms, and that's your way in. Really, farming land is our public land, in my opinion. There's not a lot of people that I know. Our public land tracts are pretty small. You know, they're kind of parceled up in Michigan, and I think that's why in Michigan there's not that extreme connection to public land like there is out west, because they need it, they utilize it, and it's such the land out there is so big and
it's
undeveloped.
So fast,
And,
you get 5 guys hunting on public land in Michigan, and it's tight. In some of those parcels, you get 5 guys out there, they don't even know you're on the same track.
It's
right?
thousands of acres, not
exactly.
hundreds of thousands of acres in sections. So, it's just a different. But I will say this: public land, as we call it in Michigan, state land. It's part of tradition up in the UP. You go to state land. You put your deer camp up there. You put the tent up, the canvas tent. There's still guys that for decades and generations have done that. So it's a huge fabric. It's a part of the fabric of our state. And deer hunting in particular, rifle hunting, it's huge. And it's so I think that's our biggest connection. At least that's my biggest connection to public land hunting in our state, is just the opening day deer camps, putting up the wall tent. Your whole family stays there. Do you really? Does it matter if you shoot a buck? Yeah, let's get a couple bucks so we can put them on the buck pole. But more than anything, even in the last 15 to 20 years, when the UP deer herd has been devastated by winter, by wolves, whatever you want to call it, people are still going up there. They're not killing bucks anymore. Yeah. They're killing bush lights, and they're having a lot of
chili.
And a lot of chili, and they're making a lot of memories with people. Yeah. And it's gotten, in the end, it's like playing golf at a shitty golf course. Can you play golf at a shitty golf course? Yeah. Is it as fun? No. It's not. Like, how great is it to go out on public land and then actually think that there's an opportunity to shoot a great buck.
To do something, yeah.
And I remember the 80s in Michigan, the 70s and 80s was like it was the peak of UP deer hunting. When I think of public land, again, I think of the Upper Peninsula. And the Upper Peninsula had some of the biggest deer. It was like Saskatchewan. You know, you could kill a 200-inch buck in Iron County in the UP, and you've never seen it before in your life, and then all of a sudden he walks in front of you and you killed him. But that's just not the case anymore up there. It's really turned into, honestly, more of a bear hunting pastime. But anyway, we're getting a little off subject, but in the end, public land, it means something different to everybody. And I can see why, out west there's a bigger contingent of vocal outdoorsmen and outdoor enthusiasts that are aware of a lot of the details of this bill, and it impacts everybody, not just them.
I agree with all of it. What do you guys think about this? My biggest concern would be public land provides obviously recreational access, hunting in particular, right? Hunting in general is going the way of a rich man's game. Hunting, you look back and hunting is always the sport of kings, right? And it's kind of going back to that. When you're looking at, whitetail hunts across the Midwest that are approaching $9,000-$10,000. You're looking at moose in Alaska approaching $30,000. You're looking at high-end elk, for good quality, old mature big trophy antler elk. You're looking at 20 to 30 or more. For sheep, you're looking at 60 to 80. Public access, everything in the world is supply and demand. And so public access gives you a much bigger supply for guys to be able to go do it. It's an equalizer. We can go to Alaska on our own, on public lands, at our own free will for a much lower cost than we could go for an outfitter. So if you start to strip away that access and you start to strip away that land, that's when I say, man, if we're already going the way of a rich man's game, then what the hell happens the minute that supply disappears?
Right.
But the demand stays the same. Like, now all of a sudden, what do you, because you're, for you mentioned Montana. If we want to go to Montana, We got two routes. You go with an outfitter, or maybe you go out there and you spend, if you have the resources, you spend an insane amount of time doing the research, an insane amount of time on the ground trying to make friends with landowners and do that whole thing, or you go with an outfitter, or you just find public land and make it happen.
Yep.
If that goes away, there goes the support.
Yeah, it'll crush our sport. But to your point, it's probably the main driver in the rise of public hunting in the first place, especially coming back around. Because I agree with you. In the 80s, public land was big, state land. Pennsylvania growing up, there's the same thing. It was very similar. A lot of campers, a lot of guys out there doing it. And then everybody started to buy land. Everybody started to have their own farm. Everybody started to do that, at least in the East Coast, right? You start talking about Midwest to East Coast. I feel like people started to buy their 20 acres or 30 acres. Growing up, we hunted state land up until we bought the first farm. And then we had 40 acres. And so then we hunted the daylights out of that 40 acres. Out West, it was that way the entire time. It's always been that public kind of, that's the perception that's out there. But to your point, once a guy, like back then, we could go to an outfitter for $2,000 and we could go hunt and kill a big deer with an outfitter. When you take that and go from $2,000 to $10,000, well, where's the $2,000 hunt now? Well, that's public land. That's the guy saying, I get a tree saddle, a camp, I'll go there and I'll do that. And so it's like this rise of this new generation is like, we all hunt it. What I don't like about it is you're wrong either way. That part drives me nuts, right? Where it's like, I think it's amazing. I have public land or private land we have that we hunt, but that doesn't make me go, I can't believe you hunt public. In fact, I have respect for the guys that go deep dark into the back of the everything and go back. I think it's amazing that they do that. So why the divide on that front, I guess, at the end of the day? I mean, but what I saw here was private guys and public rising to say, no, you're touching our hunting rights at some level, and this is not right. Yeah. So that was a good thing about it. And if we could just put down that for a second and just quit, just put down our bows and just like talk about it. I think it's amazing that you're out there hunting. And I don't care if you're in a saddle or if you're in a tree stand. I particularly like a tree stand because I'm lazy and I'm old, right? But this new generation likes a saddle. I think that's great. Like, I don't care either way. Are you out there doing and promoting our sport? Yes, great. Did you buy a license? Yes. All right, you're good with me, right? So I just think we need to get back to that.
Yeah, and to your point, too, a rich man's sport. I've never been to Europe hunting. But that's the feel I get. It's very little public access. It's very privately held from a property standpoint, and it's turned into a rich man's sport. And that's not what we want it to become here. And again, I don't know the land mass, but I think the United States is roughly the size of Europe, or maybe a little ish. So you don't want. You don't want that to happen here. No. We have too much good things happening right now, and again, like you said, the divide. Why?
The divide in the hunting. That's a whole separate subject. That's something we can. I think it's worth touching on right now too. Is just like why we're all in it. Everybody hunts for their own reasons, right? And that's fine. Like, this is America. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want. But why does everybody got to argue about it? I don't get it. Like, there's always arguments. You see it now, even as like technology has made its way into hunting, like out West especially, you're seeing like you're using trail cameras, like you're a fucking cheater. It's like, what? Is it? Right. I mean, there's such a divide in all this stuff. Oh, you don't use a traditional muzzleloader? Like, you use an inline? Like, what do you... You're crazy. It's just I don't understand that side of things. We're all doing the same thing. Yeah. We're all trying to promote the same sport. We're all putting meat in the freezer. Like, why the back and forth in it?
Yeah, and I think it's just, I mean, I'm just men in general. Do you drive Ford? Or do you drive Chevy?
Yeah.
It's all these. Are you Remington or Winchester?
Yeah.
There's always this battle, this competitive nature between people, not just men, people in general. So I think that when you believe in something, you feel like you have to piss on the others,
whatever else,
the others, because that's, you feel like you have been, trial by fire. You have been baptized as a public land traditional archery hunter.
Yeah.
And you only hunt on the ground. Well, that's how I do it, you hunt. You're in a climber and you hunt with a vertical bow or a crossbow, and all of a sudden they can't connect with you.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you can't connect with the land like I can. It's like, it's all, you know, it's what it means to you.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. It's there's always going to be that divide or that disagreement, I think, with what the best way to do it is. But just, you know, we're our own worst enemies when it comes to arguments.
In instances like this, though, it is cool to see everybody.
Everybody
can come together and be like, all right, this ain't happening. You know?
Yeah.
So
I think it's just a matter of like, if you're gonna be like, if we're getting to the point where it's a division, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I think razzing people about certain things because, you know, you're this or that. Like, I get that part of it. You know, like crossbow hunters versus vertical. There's always a guy going, oh, I got a sore shoulder. That's why I did it. You know, that was how it started. But now, man, I think it helps youth. I think it helps everybody get in and if it can get somebody in the game, let them get it in the game, man. It keeps you in it longer. I think that's amazing. And there'll come a time where I'll switch to a crossbow and I'll be one of those guys. But I razz people back and forth on it because it's currently where we're at. But it's not a divide. It's like I don't look at you and go, I really hate you.
Yeah, but should be.
And I feel like there's hatred
too.
Yeah.
Like why can't I shoot a deer in Illinois with a vertical bow, and then if I want to shoot one in Missouri with a crossbow, why can't I use that?
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
people look at you side-eyed. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, why? Like, I shot that deer with a vertical bow, and those 40 deer right there.
There's a friend of ours that shot an incredible buck, a monster deer, right? Yeah. And it's a once in a lifetime, well over 200 record book deer. And the very first thing and the first comment I saw was, yeah, but he shot with a crossbow. Right. What the fuck are you talking about? He still shot a giant deer. He did the work because he was in there. He still had to make the shot. He killed this giant buck. And the first like 10 comments were like, yeah, with a crossbow. Yep. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the part where then that's meant to divide. Like when you say that, when you take away someone's glory to just put something stupid in like that, then you're a keyboard warrior. That's bullshit. That to me is like you're trying to start something there by saying that because you're jealous. You're fucking jealous that it wasn't you. And I promise you, to your point about what you said earlier, if that was you in front of you and all you had was a crossbow, you're pulling the trigger.
Yes.
And so quit your bitching, and that part drives me nuts because it's
you
meant
did all
to
the
divide.
Research and all the scouting. You had everything laid out, and you said there's going to be a 200-inch deer walk by that deer stand at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Here's a crossbow, go kill him. You give me one guy that's going to be like, no thanks. No.
Yeah.
You mean you used a cell cam to find him, and I'm going to just have to shut the fuck up. You're absolutely going to shoot him. Like, it just, that's the part that gets me. When they're meant to divide, that type of hatred is just, like, what is wrong with your life in general?
Well, I think
just a sad person.
A keyboard warrior never would have said that to that guy in person. You congratulated him in person.
And you're right. That's probably 90% of social media is jealousy and the comments, right, that come in. But it's just like, again, it takes so little negative and so much positive to outweigh that, right? Like someone can make 4 little comments and it just angers everybody, but there's 31 other comments in there saying congratulations, no one's paying attention to anymore, right? Because they're like that one comment and then it just blows up, right? And that's how this divide starts, is someone meant to divide. So I don't like that. I like the fact that we have debates. I like the fact that you can talk about what you think is better and you can have your opinion, but when you let ego get in the way and you're doing it out of divisiveness, that's just bullshit.
Well, I'll say this too. In Michigan, crossbow hunting, you used to have a prescription. This wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
You used to have a doctor's note to crossbow hunt.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 20. I feel like it maybe have been 20. But you had to have a doctor's prescription to crossbow hunt. And I think that's part of the negativity, is a lot of guys back in the day would get a doctor's note from whoever they wanted.
Yeah.
In hunt crossbows when it wasn't legal yet for everybody. So I think there's still a little bit of that scar tissue from the archery contingent that's like, oh wow. Yeah. I know guys who used to cheat their way through the season with a crossbow, but now it's legal.
Well, now I saw a buddy of mine send me a picture of his 9-year-old a couple years ago, and he shot a 160-inch deer. Yeah. Keefer shot a giant buck with a crossbow. He couldn't pull back in a regular bow, but he sat in the stand and he made the shot on this deer at 60 yards. Like, And this kid's ate up with hunting now.
Yeah.
So I look at it and go, like, what's wrong with that?
There's always that simple question of like, what about those other weeks where we can just go hammer them with a high-powered rifle?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't there a little bit of like irony in that where it's like, man, you can't use that thing that'll send that arrow an extra 50 yards
more efficiently.
But that thing that'll send it 500, like you got a couple weeks to go do that.
Well,
I just, it's.
I hate it too. And to your point, you guys know Hack, 90 years old in deer camp up at Toss-Off. He's been hunting his whole life since deer hunting archery basically started in Michigan. And last year he walks out to a ground blind all by himself and has a crossbow. He's got a raven, and he still deer hunts. Mm-hmm. This year he shot 160, 150. Low 150s, upper 140. His best buck of his life. Didn't matter. His best buck of his life because he was able to still use a crossbow. Mm-hmm. In archery season, we all helped him track it. And, it was just one of those moments where it's like, thank God he's able to do that. Yeah. And thank God he didn't need a doctor's note. He can just go over the counter and choose whatever, type of equipment he wants to use during archery season. And it's a memory that, hey, could be his last archery season. You never know.
Yeah.
So
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
For some of us, the hunt never stops. Grizzly understands that more than most. Rugged, reliable, and built to never back down. Whether you're on the trail, by the water, or deep in the dark timber, Grizzly is by your side. Tough enough to take on the wild and ready for whatever you can throw. Grizzly is committed to products that never let you down. Always on the hunt with Grizzly.
Out here in the wild, precision isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Leupold Optics is built on the foundation of American craftsmanship, where every feature is function first. For over a century now, they've combined dedication and technology with a relentless put-it-to-the-test attitude, creating optics that stand up when everything else stands down. When it matters most, you need the best. That's what you get with Leupold Optics. While other companies out there warranty failure, Leupold guarantees performance for life.
Some call it out on the trail. I like to call it the road less traveled. The kind of place where the going gets tough. That's where Tracker Off-Road comes in. Made for those who won't back down. Tracker Off-Road delivers the hardest working machines with the greatest capability at the strongest value in the industry. Built by those who know what it takes and designed for those who don't turn back. Tracker is dedicated to delivering machines that let you get the most out of your day and your dollar. Ready to take on your next adventure? Go with Tracker Off-Road.
Every shot counts. And when it's time to make it count, you want the best. Winchester Ammunition has built its legacy on a commitment to innovation by continuously pushing what's possible. In the heartland of America, the American legend crafts ammunition that's purpose-built, reliable, accurate, and ready to perform no matter how harsh the conditions. Whether you're hunting or shooting for sport, Winchester will be there.
Well, I got one more hypothetical. So on this whole public land thing, I've thought about this because ANWR is always it seems like every election cycle, it's ANWR. Always on the, we're going to open up ANWR, we're going to do this, and we got the oil. And so we spend a lot of time in ANWR.
Yep.
We have spent a lot of time in ANWR. And so I want to get your guys' thoughts, but I'll lead in with this. Opening up ANWR and a road system and everything else, I look at that and I'm like, man, I feel like everybody needs to experience ANWR. I really do. It has been that special and that meaningful to me in my life and in our life that I'm like, God, I tell people if there's two places that you have to see before you die, the first one, you got to make your way into the Brooks Range, get up in ANWR in Alaska. Mm-hmm. Number two is the South Island in New Zealand. Like you have to get to those two places. So on one hand, I'm like, man, if that gives more people the opportunity to go do it, amazing.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it scares the ever-living shit out of me. Mm-hmm. Because ANWR is such a special, special, special place. And as human beings, we are really good at fucking stuff up.
Yeah.
And so if that access becomes unfettered and open, does it get fucked up? And how long does that take, if it does?
I think absolutely 100% it does, unfortunately. Because I understand your logic behind it, but I think us as humans, we're going to fuck it up. Because I look at just the first time we ever flew into a river, and we've been on that river several times, and there was nobody on that river. Yeah. And that last time we went back on that river, we saw a lot of humans floating down that river, and they got there somehow. And we found trash, and it's like we're real good at fucking shit up. Yeah. And so I think that limited access is about, for me, I think protecting those places we play, as we say all the time, like we protect the places we play. Putting a road in, that's tough, man. Because yes, you would only have road access, so a lot of guys would only be able to go so far off, which is most likely going to push everything back out into the heavy stuff anyway. But man, I don't know. I just feel like we fuck it up.
Yeah, there'd be, and again, Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, when we say ANWR, that's what we're talking about. Yep. There are some limitations. There's a lot of public land out west that's foot traffic in, foot traffic out. I think that keeps the trouble out. If, quote,
it narrows it down.
Narrows it down.
Yep. You got to be serious if you're going to go do it.
Yeah, and I can see if they ever open that up. I mean, I don't know, where we hunt in the Brooks, are we 200 miles from roads?
Oh, we're
ish. So, road systems to get up there, I mean, again, it's meant to be accessible by airplane.
I just couldn't imagine putting a road system in, just the detriment that it would do to
what you have to do.
Like what you have to do to put a road there and how long that would take.
Well, you think about it in Saskatchewan. That road has been there since we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And that road is the one road north.
That's it.
And you see what's happened over the years. Like, people used to travel it, but it took a special breed to go up there because the road was rough and it was long. And a lot of times you're talking like we used to put extra tires, like spare tires, all over in the trailers and in the back of the van and shit just to go up there because you're going to pop a few. So to your point, you got to be serious. If you're going to do it, it keeps the riffraff out, right? And then the road got better, and the mining companies made the road and did improvements, and now you drive that road. Holy shit!
Yeah, you can go 70 miles an hour.
You can rip up there. You can be there in no time, and you're going to pass 40, 50 cars going one way or the other. When back in the day, hell, if you saw a car, it was like, So,
I mean, you couldn't even drink your beer while you were driving because it'd spill on you with the amount of potholes. I mean, let's be honest. Back then, that's how you did it.
It's interesting, man, because you think about road access, then how do you control, or even, I mean, you don't need to control it. Just to be knowledgeable of who is in what part of ANWR is important. Yeah. They use the pilots and the companies to understand what who's out where.
Yeah, who's going where, what impact that has on the land.
What impact it has on the land, and then just the ability of people to get into dangerous situations up there. Again, ANWR is 300 miles north of Fairbanks, or ish. So when you start putting roads up there and people start getting into problems, which they're going to, again, you can't control everything, and if it can be on, if it's legal to do it, you can do it, but there's going to be issues. We talked about that, what the hell was it, that fin, the fin treasure. Oh yeah. And it's I kind of look at it like that, is so many people will go up there wanting to taste ANWR and not be prepared and put themselves in a bad spot. Then all of a sudden you got other people trying to rescue people, and then, again, maybe that would happen, maybe it wouldn't, but it just opens the door to all sorts of things. And I like the thought that a place can be unchanged and stay pristine forever. Yeah. And I think if it's only accessible by airplane, it's not crazy amount of money to fly in there. Yeah. I mean, for as much as you want to you could take your family to Disney World, or take your family to Florida for spring break. You could do that. That's the amount of money it would take to fly in, stay for a week, and get flown out. It's about the same price. Yep. So it's not unattainable. If you wanted to do it and you really want to do it, you could.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have the answers on any of this.
It's a good topic.
I find it fascinating to where, like I said, especially with Alaska there, like, one part of me is like, God, people should be able to experience this. And the other hand is like, fuck, dude, I'm terrified if that happens, because this place is just going to get wrecked. Yeah. But you have those people and there's people up there, especially right now, there's people up there that feel like they own that area of the world, and they're very like
protective.
I'm the only one able to do things up here, and you shouldn't be here, and that kind of pisses me off a little bit when people take that type of approach. But yeah, it's just we'll see where it goes. I think it's coming to the forefront right now with this big beautiful bill, land access. Hunters are it's always on our mind, but I think it's only going to continue to get more light shined upon it. So.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That is one thing that pisses me off too, is the people that think they've laid claim to federal land or an area. Like, this is mine. No, it's not. Yeah. But I've been here 10 years. Well, okay, I'm real happy for you, but I'm here now, and we're hunting, because it's allowed to do that. And those guys have got to, they've got to understand that too. But I know the type you're talking about, and it's real annoying.
Yeah,
and it's
frustrating.
We see it in Alaska a lot because it's so controlled, because of the only way in and out is usually planes and other stuff. And I like the fact that the planes and the pilots monitor.
Absolutely,
I like that.
Absolutely.
I think that is so huge. They self-police that. They do a great job. And for conservation alone, just to let rivers sit, because those guys know I took 6 guys in. That's a lot of moose came out of that valley. I mean, I think that part they've got a great system, and I think you start to mess with it. You get guys that will lay claim, like I pull off here, just like state land down here, like that's my camp. Then you can't touch it. Then you just start to get into things where it's like things you wouldn't anticipate just by opening it up, right? That I think would just drive more hatred, which we don't need right now. It's more hatred. So
it's literally Pandora's box.
It is,
which is why I think it's hotly contested amongst everybody. It's such an interesting subject, but. Yeah. I don't know where it goes from here. Like I said, the latest updates on some of that public access stuff is they're going to back it out. They're pulling out federal lands. They're going to try to, and then the real linchpin to all of it is because of the way it was done. Will the Senate parliamentarian even actually allow it into the bill? Yeah, maybe not. So stay tuned. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And as I say,
I'll be following it because I'm fascinated by it. So
opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yep,
and we've got ours. So take it for what it is. That's ours.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not claiming to have answers. I love the conversation part. Yeah, I think it's I think it's cool.
I agree.
But, well, good combo today.
Yeah,
good topic.
I think we got to go shoot some Winchester stuff.
Yeah, we've got stuff for Winchester safes today. I'm looking at a brand new Winchester safe right over there.
Yeah, Winchester safe.
We got some interview work to do, and then tomorrow we're shooting some more stuff. And yeah, it's been a busy week, man. KB stuff, Winchester stuff.
It's been nuts. We got the LPGA tournament in town, which is nuts, just for in-town stuff. Safes, everything. But I am excited. And we talked about this last week a little bit. We're getting closer and closer to launch date. We're within a couple of weeks of being able to do this. And it was exciting to sit down and shoot the first kind of version of the new KB ecosystem that we're going to be launching with everything. I think that's exciting. I think everybody's going to, and some of the stuff we just talked about is pertinent, with the masterclass stuff that we're shooting that we're going to be going through. And it's just cool to be able to do that. So we're excited to bring that, no doubt. Like that's number one. And then we leave on Monday, man, and we're out. We're finally, we've talked about it for a couple of weeks now, but we're here. It's fishing time. I got gear everywhere. I feel like I'm packing for drop, but I'm not. But it's, it's just like, I got all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't need, this is so cold. Like this stuff is so, it's not going to need this, but I'm layering. I got all, like it's going to be September in Alaska.
Mornings up there.
It's like 50s right now.
It's beautiful.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
70 in the afternoon.
It was 100 here last 3 days. So
it's going to be perfect. Yeah.
No good.
Yeah. So.
Well, let's get all this content done so that when we leave on Monday, we can actually just go fish.
It'd be real nice.
Well, you guys can go fish. Have fun.
Yeah, we'll send you pictures.
Yeah.
I got to go.
You got baseball.
Yeah. I'm not playing, though. All right. Peace out.
Mama say it's a new day, son.